我是给杨所以要 Jonathan Perry 也是 Facility chapter, our chapter vice president, recently elected to the nomination council. Actually next week, Tuesday, I'll be taking my oath. Okay, what did you need to know to he gleaned about his chin? It's an appetite that should chill, but I need another. But I have to mention. I just wanted to make a few comments here this afternoon. The clock's out on that side, but I'm pretty sure we're in the afternoon now. But 1:40, thank you. First off, I want to say thank you for coming out to Ground Point, and I want to thank everybody for coming out here to participate. But there are a lot of questions as well that I have on this issue, and I've been recently getting involved with this, and a few of the communities, the schools, have been inviting me out to participate with them and get information. And coming here today, I didn't find out about this until this morning, not until I went into my chapter. I got a text message saying that there was going to be a public hearing here. I talked to my other chapter officials and none of them heard of it. And so I came out here because we changed one of our meeting times. So with that, I think there is much more efforts that need to be made in outreach into the public, because I'm just located about 10 miles north of here, and not even hearing about this public hearing. But the 8 chapters that I would be coming in to represent, as I've been talking with them, all 8 chapters now, to my understanding, are in opposition to this. None of them are in support. And with that, I have a lot of questions, as I stated. Now, it would have been nice if this document here that's being presented to us would have been given out, distributed to each and every one of us. But looking at the perspective of what I'll be going into, I do believe in looking at both sides. I do believe in looking at where each side is coming in from. But I put an emphasis, and this is where my emphasis comes in, is that the community needs to take the lead in this. This should always come from the people, okay? And this is one thing, if you go back to my chapter, this is one thing I always tell them, is don't let anybody outside your community come in and push you around. You put your foot down, and you make sure, and you are the one that's guiding them and making sure that your things are being done in that manner. The same thing applies here. I'm asking my people here, put your foot down. Make sure that you're the ones taking the lead in this. You're the ones that are guiding where you want your community to go. And education is very important. It's very important. And it's something that we can't just throw around here and there. It's something that we can't allow to just go over our heads. It's very important. Our children are dependent on this. Our next generation is dependent on this. Our elders are dependent on this. Because where our children go is going to affect our previous generation as well. And so we're all tied into this community. But as you approach, as this is continuing to move forward, my approach would be what, in terms of strategic planning, has been done. We see your feasibility study, we see that that information has been found, but what is your timeline? What from here goes into place? How is it going to be implemented? What are your milestones? These things need to be identified in order to start to transition. And talking with my colleagues, my soon-to-be colleagues in the council, that's one thing we're looking at, is you have to have a plan. Make sure everything's in place. Right now, I got a copy of the feasibility study, and I'm looking at your presentation, and I'm talking with my colleagues here who are fellow chapter officials. And we have a lot of questions. A lot of us have the same questions. And so, in moving forward, we need that information available to us. We need it at every chapter. If we are going to look at bringing the people in, we have to all coordinate together. If there's no coordination, if there's no communication, we're not going to get anywhere. And so, my question would be, how much have you outreached to your chapter officials? Was there any communication done with them to bring in the community? If not, then that's where we failed, because we didn't communicate. We didn't collaborate together to bring in our people that are going to be impacted. And so, looking and moving forward, please keep that door of communication open. and make sure that there is collaboration and understanding between between both parties. Because once it goes before the council, that's one thing I'm going to stress there, is that are you sure that you listen to the community? How much of an input and how much of their recommendations are you implementing into your documents, into your plans? If there's less than 40%, I'm going to urge my colleagues to take it back and say, go back to your communities and redo your plan. And so, you know, I'm approaching this in a way that we can move forward in how we can benefit our children, but we really have to be very careful in how we do that. And one thing I've been telling my colleagues that are going to be joining the council is make sure you sit in the classroom before anything pertains to education comes before you make any major decisions. How much participation have you done within your schools? Because that's where it's going to be impacted. And so that's one thing I'm going to stress to them, is to make sure they spend some time with their schools, with their teachers, with their students, and see what it is that they actually have to go through, what's the requirements, and what is really being impacted here, and instead of just looking at the outside and saying this is what we think is the problem. So, you know, with that, you know, like I said, I'm open to both sides. I want to work with you all, but then right now, all 8 of my chapters will be representing our opposition to this. And I still personally have a lot of questions. And so until I get those questions answered, my position is going to be with my communities.
Closing comments here, closing comments they have to know today that so it's a bonnet zanigate on Hatchin or Artone. The best was a Hashin Nante. Other oh, it was a Hashin so. Compares on Nate and the or 8 quite given it or to 8 is even natural. I was chinnet of 8 natural. 8 base on Nante. Is that 8 natural? The intention Hashin, the base of Chinante, in the old Tadi, 8 of one, Nante. That's where it's supposed to go. So is that the student learning out on the academic data? Is that the old is comment about 3 minutes that's in the high dot be not a dot. I don't is a auto text it off and then they not